Hello and welcome to another installment of The Rich and Really Famous. In this episode we will be speaking on the iconic and legendary pop singer, the man formerly known as Prince. Prince was an American singer, songwriter, musician and actor who had a net worth of $200 to $300 million at the time of his death in April 2016. The range of net worth depends largely on the value of his likeness rights and other intellectual property like his music copyrights. During his career, Prince sold more than 100 million albums worldwide and was one of the most successful concert acts of his time. Prince's music style was influenced by rock, R&B, soul, new wave, electronica, disco, funk, folk, jazz, rap, blues, psychedelia, and hip-hop. Prince was famous for playing most, if not all, of the instruments on his recordings. Prince was born Prince Rogers Nelson on June 7, 1958 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. His mother Maddie Della was a jazz singer and his father, John Lewis Nelson, was a pianist and songwriter. His parents and all of his grandparents hailed from Louisiana. Prince's sister Tyka was born 2 years after Prince. Encouraged by his parents, both siblings had a strong interest in music. Prince wrote his first song on his father's piano when he was just 7 years old. Prince's parents divorced when he was 10, and from then on he had a fractured relationship with his parents and eventually step-parents and half-siblings. He would often bounce from home to home. Prince's dad ultimately kicked him out. Prince played football, basketball, and baseball at Central High School. He was also a student at the Minnesota Dance Theater. He continued to play recreational basketball as an adult. Jimmy Jam was thoroughly impressed with Prince's musical talent and his mastery of a wide range of instruments. Prince created his demo tape in 1976 with producer Chris Moon in his Minneapolis studio. Prince released his first album For You on April 17, 1978. Prince wrote, arranged, composed, produced, and played all of the 27 instruments on the recording himself. Next, he released the self-titled album Prince in October 1979. This album catapulted him to fame with two top hits, Why You Wanna Treat Me So Bad, and I Wanna Be Your Lover. In 1980, he released Dirty Mind, which became notorious for its sexually explicit material. Recorded in his own studio, the album went gold. From 1984 to 1989, Prince referred to his band as The Revolution. Prince had required his management to obtain a deal for him to star in a film, despite the fact that his exposure was still somewhat limited at this point. The deal resulted in the infamous hit film, Purple Rain, in 1984. Prince starred in it and did the soundtrack. The film was loosely autobiographical. Purple Rain sold more than 13 million copies in the US. It spent 24 straight weeks at number 1 on the Billboard charts, and Prince won an Oscar for Best Original Song Score. In 1985, Prince founded his own label Paisley Park Records and NPG Records, which he used to self-produce and write his music. Paisley Park is also a physical location, a giant, 65,000 square foot recording complex where Prince lived and worked in Chanhassen, Minnesota, just outside of Minneapolis. The studio was designed by Bodo Design architecture firm. Paisley Park officially opened on September 11, 1987. It contained 2 live music venues that served as Prince's rehearsal spaces. While the Paisley Park record label folded in 1994, Prince continued to live and record at Paisley Park Studios, often hosting huge, lavish parties for other musicians and entertainers. Prince owned a number of homes around his hometown of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Prince's primary personal mansion was a 160-acre waterfront property on Lake Lucy and Lake Anne. For a time Prince lived in his famous Purple House in Minneapolis. The local Star Tribune reported that Prince owned a total of 12 properties in Chanhassen, Minnesota, at the time of his death. On April 7, 2016, Prince postponed 2 shows in Atlanta, releasing a statement saying he was recovering from the flu. He rescheduled for April 14 and performed his final show on that day, even though he was still feeling unwell. On a flight back to Minneapolis the next morning, Prince became unresponsive. His private jet made an emergency landing in Illinois where Prince was hospitalized and received Narcan, a medicine used to block the effects of an overdose of opioids. After he was revived, he left, against medical advice. He was seen shopping at a record store, cycling, and at an impromptu dance party at Paisley Park the next day. A 911 call came in the morning of April 21 requesting an ambulance be sent to Paisley Park. Prince was found unresponsive and the paramedics performed CPR, but it was discovered that he had been dead for over 6 hours. On June 2, the official word was that Prince had died of an accidental overdose of opioid fentanyl. He was 57. I hope you enjoyed another installment of the lifestyles of the rich and really famous. Please hit that like button and share and also subscribe. Thank you again. Goodbye.